The phoenix wonders if Leo is the child of Reina, noting that she can smell her flames. Leo asks if she knows his mother, and the phoenix confirms that she does, saying that if Reina had a child, he would indeed be around Leo's age. She acknowledges a great debt to Reina. We are introduced to Farina, one of the 3 mystical summons. Farina greets Leo, who returns the greeting and inquires about her connection to his mother. Farina explains that Reina saved the life of her summoner, Ellen Lunda. Leo is surprised to hear Ellen's name. Farina recounts how Ellen was in danger while clearing a dungeon in Siren, having lost all her comrades. Just as she was about to lose her own life, Reina appeared and saved her, but in the process, Reina lost her blazing aura. Farina notes that if it hadn't been for that event, Reina would have surely reached the seat of heroes. Leo realizes this is what his mother had mentioned previously and tells Farina that she has no regrets about her actions. Farina laughs, saying that's just the kind of knight she was. Curious, Leo asks what Farina is doing in Lumen. She replies that she can't disclose that information but asks if he's not a knight and what he's doing on the island. Leo explains that he's also taking summoning classes, which surprises Farina. Gazing at him, she says this feels like fate and notes that she can sense Kyle's soul in Leo. She mentions that she can finally repay the debt she owes Reina, instructing Leo to reach out his hands. As fire envelopes his hand, it transforms into an egg. Farina explains that this is her child, and she hopes that one day, when Leo becomes a great summoner, they can form a contract together. She adds that it's unfortunate for the summoner originally meant to receive it. Leo asks if they can form the contract now. Farina, taken aback, warns him that he might lose his life and urges him to stop as he begins to channel his aura. However, she realizes it might be too late when she sees that he has lost consciousness. She remarks that his willingness to challenge the impossible without flinching reminds her of Reina, wishing him luck. When Leo regains consciousness, he sees a flame surrounded by a golden string. He reaches out to touch it, only for it to start consuming his entire body. He screams in pain, struggling to breathe, realizing that this must be the phoenix flame. He understands that the burning pain is part of their existence, as phoenixes endure this every day, regenerating their flesh for eternity. He decides to join them on their journey. As the fire around Leo swirls violently, the egg begins to crack. Fully aware again, he sees the egg absorbing the heat he emits, floating into the air. Farina asks if he succeeded, and Leo confirms he did, though he appears exhausted. Farina laughs, calling him a genius and predicting he will become the world's greatest summoner. As the egg continues to crack open, she congratulates him on successfully forming the contract, revealing that the child's name is Fiora. Farina then transforms into a human, expressing her trust in Leo to care for her child. Leo looks at Fiora, wondering if it really is a phoenix since it resembles a little chicken. Fiora tilts her head and chirps, and Leo muses that it's definitely a chicken. Back at Yura, everyone is showing her their summons, and it's clear she's an animal lover. She then asks Carlo what time it is, and he replies that there are 5 minutes left, with only 4 students yet to return. Just then, a large bear charges towards them, and it's Xia, who asks if they're not finished yet. The bear looks proud as Xia boasts about taming an aqua bear cub. Suddenly, a shadow flies overhead, and as she dismounts from her bear, she looks up to see Walden returning with a shadow crow. Yura comments on how impressive that is, noting that even some in her family find it difficult to tame such creatures. She reminds him, however, that he hasn't made a contract with it yet, but reassures him that it's still more than enough. Then, chaos ensues as a giant snake, with Eliza on its head, slithers towards Yura. Eliza mentions she went ahead and contracted it since her family doesn't have one. Yura acknowledges that a Gorgon snake is excellent. Carlo then announces that time is up, which is perfect timing as he spots Leo emerging from the forest. The students start laughing when they see Leo with a little feathered creature on his head, joking about what kind of fool would go out there and tame a chicken. However, Yura quickly realizes what's happening and exclaims in disbelief that Leo has actually tamed a phoenix. Later that day at the academy, Leo stands in front of a door, adjusting his tie before knocking. Yura calls for him to come in, leaning against her desk. He mentions he heard she was looking for him, and she invites him to take a seat. Yura tells him it was her first time seeing a baby phoenix, noting that she didn't even know there was one on the island. She adds that a freshman contracting with a phoenix is unprecedented in the academy's history. Leo looks startled as she leans in closer, suggesting she might be going to prison. He gulps audibly, but Yura then declares that he is a summoning genius and hugs him. She expresses her desire to praise his achievement but insists that the fact he's made a contract with a phoenix should be kept secret for now, revealing it would cause quite a stir. She instructs him that when exploratory classes end, he needs to choose summoning as his major, as he has the talent to become a legendary summoner. Sometime later at the academy, Chloe yawns as she walks down the hallway, and Car comments that she'll tear her mouth if she keeps doing that. Embarrassed, she turns to him, and he notes that she seems tired. Chloe explains that she stayed up late reading magic books. Leo then reaches into his pocket, handing her something she dropped. She remembers bumping into him on the first day of school, feeling a bit embarrassed, and thanks him. Car asks Leo why he's attending magic classes, and Leo explains he wants to explore as many as possible during the exploratory period. Car mentions that since he's only interested in magic, he only attends those classes. He then introduces Chloe, who is glaring at Leo. Car comments that it's a bit cold in the room and stands up to move to the back, but a massive ice wall suddenly forms in front of him, stopping him in his tracks. Chloe encourages Leo to follow her to the front seats, saying that since he seems interested in the class, she'll help him. She drags him along, and Car quips that he might just have a chance. Suddenly, Chelsea calls out to Leo, and he turns in surprise to see her and Abad waving at him. The main door opens, and a voice introduces itself, saying it's nice to meet everyone attending the magic classes. The speaker, Liners, announces that he will be their magic teacher for the year. Before starting the exploratory class, he snaps his fingers, causing a magic circle to appear, and papers begin to fly around the room, landing in front of each student. Liners informs them that they will be taking a magic theory exam, leaving the students shocked at the prospect of a test on the first day. He explains that every class, except for the night major, has had a test, and that Lumine students should meet a certain standard to attend his class. After completing the exam, they are to hand their papers to his assistant, Anna, who waves and tells everyone she'll collect their exams. Leo wonders if this is the current trend in magic, questioning why it feels so complicated, akin to the new math being taught to kids. As everyone begins to write furiously, the hourglass continues to drain. After a while, some students find the exam easier than expected, but they struggle with the last question, having solved everything else. In contrast, Leo realizes he has only managed to answer one question. He regrets not learning more about modern magic before coming here. Nervously, he hands his paper to Anna and resolves to study magic on his own. As the clock hits 0, Liners remarks that magic has evolved significantly over the past century. What used to require a perfect understanding can now be utilized with mere memorization of conditions. He snaps his fingers, and the grades begin to materialize in front of the students. Liners notes that this development has lowered the overall skill level of magicians. He raises his hand, and a bright light forms in his palm, expanding to the ceiling to create a beautiful display resembling a solar system. Liners explains that this is the essence of the magic he has created, made from finish to start, and he wants them to become capable of researching and developing their own magic. This is why he administered the test in the first place. There were 49 questions worth 1 point each based on simple memorization, with the last question worth 51 points, designed to analyze the true essence of magic. He hopes everyone here can become a magician capable of solving it. Chelsea comments that it's no surprise the last question was the only one she couldn't answer, and she wonders if Leo gave up since he's no longer in his seat. Just then, Anna rushes up to Liners, excitedly telling him that one student solved the 50th question. He laughs loudly, looking around the room to find the student with a perfect score. Liners asks for the student to stand up, but Anna clarifies that it wasn't a perfect score, some other answers were missed while focusing on the last question. Liners expresses disappointment but still invites whoever it was to step forward. Anna clarifies that the student only solved the last question, surprising Liners, who asks for the student's name. Anna replies that it's Leo Plo. They urge Leo to stand up, but Car and Chloe note that he doesn't seem to be present. Chelsea explains that he actually left right after finishing the test, prompting Liners to question why he would do that. The scene shifts to a cafe, where Celia laughs heartily, mocking Leo for having only solved one question. She remarks that he summoned a chicken in class and couldn't manage more than one question in magic class, suggesting he should realize he's not cut out for this and focus on his swordsmanship since he's a knight major. Leo then asks if she'd like to join him for stamina training, but she quickly declines. We hear Liners say he sees Leo, and when Leo turns around in surprise, Liners asks if he's the one who mocked his class. He wants to know why Leo left after answering just one question, questioning if he thought the others were so easy that they weren't worth attempting. Liners gives off some intense vibes as Leo explains there's been a misunderstanding. He thought he had failed the test and found all the questions except the last one too difficult. Liners, taken aback, listens as Leo admits he only studied magic independently by reading old books, which left him unsure about modern concepts. Understanding dawns on Liners, and he lifts Leo into the air in excitement before setting him back down, leaving Leo bewildered. Liners encourages Leo to follow him, immediately dragging him away. Celia asks what the magical professor is up to, and Anna rushes in, asking if she saw Liners or if he did anything unusual. Celia mentions he was just there but suddenly grabbed Leo and took off. Anna wonders what he's up to this time, calling him crazy. We then see Liners erasing chalk from the board while writing new equations. He instructs Leo to solve these equations, stating that if Leo didn't solve the last question by pure luck, he must already have his own magic system in mind. Liners urges Leo to demonstrate, saying he'll see right through whatever Leo has. Moments later, Leo informs Liners that he solved everything. Liners is utterly astonished, asking if Leo truly solved all those questions in his head. Leo replies, kind of. Liners' eyes light up as he exclaims, finally. The scene shifts to the hallway, where Albie walks by with Liners, who is beaming with excitement. Ali looks on, appearing depressed and wondering what Liners is up to. Liners grabs Albie's leg, expressing his gratitude and joy. Albie lifts him into the air, commenting that he's seen Liners act out before but feels he's going too far today. Liners insists that Leo is a magic genius and praises the student Albie recommended as a complete genius as well. Confused, Albie points out that Leo is a knight. Liners declares that Leo must become a sorcerer at all costs, insisting he won't let his talent go to waste wielding mere metal sticks. Albie throws Liners back down, and Anna rushes in to catch him. Liners thanks her, but Anna looks furious, stating they need to return to class now and threatening to kill him one day. As Leo walks through the hallway, Albie spots him and smiles. Leo remarks that sorcerers haven't changed at all over time, they're all complete psychos. A week later, at the end of the exploratory classes, we find Leo on the roof reading a book titled Is Kyle, the Hero of the Beginning, Really a Fraud? He closes the book and sits on the ledge, deep in thought. We see three people rushing down the hallway, banging on Callan's door. It's Liners and Yura, exclaiming that this situation is unbelievable and urging Callan to take a look at Leo's plans to major in every single subject. In the background, Yura and Liners argue, insisting that Leo must be a knight, though they acknowledge that this is unprecedented in the entire academy. Callan laughs, saying it reminds him of a fictional hero, which prompts their curiosity. He explains that he's referring to the fifth great hero, also known as Kyle, who is the only master of all classes in history. Meanwhile, at the training grounds, Chelsea and Celia are seen running, prompting Carr to wonder what they're up to on a weekend. Leo mentions that Chelsea asked him to train her. Carr questions why they're running without their weapons, and Leo replies that there's something more important than weapons. Celia chimes in, stating it's their stamina. They both look exhausted, but Chelsea insists that stamina is crucial for a battle mage. She then tells Carr to move over so she can sit beside Leo, expressing how nice it is to jog on a weekend and that she misses it. Leo asks if she's serious about running with him, prompting Celia to spit out her water, which Chelsea calls gross. Leo insists that if Celia is going to join him, they need to do it properly. Celia stands up and reiterates that she's not interested. Carr comments on their apparent closeness, admitting he initially thought they were dating. Celia clarifies that they're related and jokes that this isn't Alabama. Carr and Chelsea are surprised, realizing Leo is not abandoning her, though Celia explains there are some family circumstances involved. Leo sits up, asking if they should take this seriously while Chelsea looks pleased. Carr declares he's off to explore the city, but when Celia tries to join him, Leo pulls her away. Carr wonders why there aren't any dignified nobles in his life. It's now class assignment day, and all the students are curious about their placements. Leo walks into class 1 to 5, where Carr waves him over and asks if Leo already knew he was in this class. Carr laughs, claiming there's nothing he doesn't know. Leo mentions that Chelsea is also here, and they notice she's suffering from severe soreness due to her workout. Carr asks what Leo made her do, to which Leo replies it was just the basics. Chelsea complains she's never doing it again. Some students start mocking them, calling Class 5 the class of anguish and speculating on how many will remain after the first semester, deeming them all pitiful. A man then asks what they find pitiful, stating that's how they appear in his eyes. As he approaches, he asks if they agree with him and instructs them to form a human chair. This is when we meet the professor of their class, known as the Wailing Wall, Herod Edmund. As the students comply, Herod walks forward and greets them, calling everyone worthless and declaring this class is for those who scored the lowest among incoming students. He asks if they've heard the rumors about him and wonders if anyone knows why he chose to teach this class. Carr guesses it's to help them improve their grades, but Herod retorts that it's a typical answer from someone who ranked dead last, expecting no less from Carr. He asks if no one in this inferior class embodies the qualities of a Lumen Academy student. Chelsea responds that it's about capturing the hero's world through practice missions. Herod agrees but states that all he sees are faces of individuals who would perish immediately upon entering a hero's world. He argues that it would be better to expel these pathetic beings who would only hinder their comrades and die in the process, which is why he has taken charge of this class and earned the nickname, the Wailing Wall. He then spots Leo at the back, noting that at least he might survive. Herod instructs everyone to change into their EXE uniforms and head to the drill grounds for the combat studies class. Once outside, dressed in their uniforms, Herod sets up an umbrella and chair, announcing that he will begin the class aimed at correcting their flawed mindsets. He questions what they believe will save them in real life when death is a constant threat. A student replies that it would be their fellow comrades, introducing a woman named Nella Carvin, who possesses a healing aura. Herod corrects them, stating that it's their own abilities that matter. When they hone their skills to shine through danger, only then can they think about helping others. He then asks Nella if she is confident in her ability to protect her comrades. Another student raises her hand, expressing confidence as well. Herod laughs, challenging her to demonstrate her skills as a magical knight by creating a fireball. The student, Ilana Lidden, who is a dual-class user, successfully conjures a fireball. Herod questions if that's all she can do, doubting she could even harm an ant with it. Ilana responds by adding more mana to create 2 massive fireballs, scorching the ground beneath her. Herod acknowledges her improvement, asking if she wants to try hitting a little fellow as a fairy spirit appears, playfully sticking out its finger and laughing as it taps Ilana on the nose. Frustrated, Ilana throws her fireballs at the fairy, but it dodges effortlessly. Herod questions the point of increasing the number of fireballs if she can't hit anything with them. He emphasizes that what they all lack is the ability to use their skills effectively and that they need to push beyond their limits. He warns that this class will not end until they catch the spirit, urging them to draw out all their abilities. Leo remarks that while Herod's words may be harsh, they are true. He asks if he should give it a try as well. Herod watches him with anticipation, wondering if Leo is just full of nonsense like the fictional hero Kyle or if he genuinely aspires to be a master of all classes. Meanwhile, the little spirit flutters around, making everyone look foolish. Leo begins to imbue aura into his feet and dashes forward at incredible speeds, determined to catch the spirit. Chelsea wonders why the spirit is so fast, and Carr questions how they're supposed to catch it. They notice Leo running, utilizing aura step to float through the air as he chases after the spirit, which seems to be enjoying itself as it embarrasses the other students. The spirit notices Leo behind it and swiftly evades his first strike. Leo smiles as he begins to imbue aura into his hand, shooting out a stream of energy that chases the sylph. Suddenly, a yellow blur darts in front of him. It's Duran, who grabs hold of the sylph and turns back to Leo, still holding on to her. A man starts clapping, commenting that it seems Class 1 is in for a lesson. This is their homeroom professor, Sejin. Herod asks if that means Sejin will take over his class, casually sipping his drink. It's revealed that Sejin ranked second in the graduating class, while Herod was first, a fact that Sejin resents. Carr notes that this might lead to a clash of 2 pillars, explaining that both professors have been at Lumen for over 20 years and that Yura and Liners were apprentices to them. Nella asks how Carr knows all this, and he sheepishly claims he's just quick to gather information, while Chelsea cringes at his awkwardness. Sejin laughs, saying he didn't realize Herod was plotting something. He conjures an orb in his hand and proposes a competition between classes 1 and 5, suggesting they use Lumen's historic ball sport, botra. Herod is surprised, calling Sejin a genius, and agrees that learning through experience is best. Sejin confidently asserts that his class will probably win, but Herod shrugs it off, saying he doesn't care and will continue teaching. Sejin wonders why he keeps losing the graduating class vote to Herod. Herod then declares that he'll give them a chance to practice their skills with a botra match against Class 1, standing up and stating that all of them will be expelled if they lose. The students are shocked by this announcement. Nella asks if he's serious, pointing out that it's only their first class, and Eliana reminds him that Class 1 has 3 captains. Herod insists they should strive even harder to surpass their limits, questioning what there is to fear when their freshman representative is already part of their class. He tells Leo to choose 6 representatives to join him for botra. Leo senses that this is a test. Herod's disdain for him is evident. He notices that some students have already lost their spirit after just a week at Lumen Academy, and he understands that Herod likely wants him to lead the Class 5 students, who are acting defeated. This could be an opportunity to boost their morale. We see Duran and Celia in Class 1 while Chelsea and Carr are in Class 5. Leo asks why everyone looks so scared. Chelsea explains that he might not have heard of botra before, but it's a combat sport and a long-standing tradition at Lumen. Leo thought it was just a game, but Carr clarifies that, while it may seem that way, it's actually quite dangerous. Celia teasingly calls out Chelsea, asking why she looks so frightened, suggesting she's already resigned to defeat. Chelsea retorts that she's not scared and insists she would never lose. Leo wraps an arm around Chelsea and Car, declaring that their class will not be defeated by Class 1. Celia declares that she's going to demonstrate the results of her special training. Meanwhile, Chloe states confidently that she will not lose this time. Sejin instructs the participants from each class to head to the arena, and Leo asks who will accompany him. Chelsea and Aliana step forward, determined to put Class 1 in their place. Aliana asserts that if losing means expulsion, she'll channel her anger into winning, ready to show Professor Herod what she can do. Nella and another boy from the class also step up, and Leo decides that the last spot should go to Car. When Car questions this, Leo doesn't give him a chance to respond and informs Sejin that Class 5 is ready. Sejin approves and lightly tosses the ball into the air, only to launch it high above everyone's heads. The spectators watch in anticipation, some feeling confident about their victory. With a loud announcement, Sejin signals the start of the match. Both Duran and Leo leap into the air, utilizing their aura, but Duran's longer reach allows him to snag the ball before Leo. He lands back on the ground, harnessing his lightning aura, and Sejin notes that Class 1 has made the first move. Leo jumps back to his side and asks one of his classmates, named Tide, to explain the rules to him. Tide clarifies that the rules of botra are simpler than Leo might think. He needs to infuse the ball with aura and shoot it into the goal without using his hands or feet. The first team to score 11 points wins. We learn that Tide, Marcoa, is part of the summoning department, making an earlier Hogwarts joke resonate more. As they prepare, someone yells for them to get ready, and we see Duran clenching his fist with lightning aura crackling. Car gets ready to defend the goal as Duran punches the ball forward, sending it soaring straight toward Leo. Leo dodges to the side, and the ball ricochets off the ground, cracking the floor before heading into the goal behind Car. Class 1 cheers for Duran, while Class 5 looks despondent. Tide comments that it seems the professor might expel them all, and Leo asks how they can regain possession of the ball. Tide explains there are 3 ways to do so: when the ball goes out of bounds during the opponent's turn, when they catch the ball, or when, but before Tide can finish, Nella shouts at Leo to dodge. Both Leo and Tide turn just in time to see the ball hit Ilana squarely in the chest. Celia mocks them, telling them to stop chatting and focus on the match. Tide explains that they can't directly attack or block opposing players, adding that the third way to regain possession is if someone on their own team is incapacitated. The only way to attack in that case is with the ball itself. Leo thanks Tide for the explanation, picks up the ball, and states that it's his turn. On the match status board, we see that Ilana is now listed as incapacitated, along with several other names from Class 1, such as Howl, Ruth, and Kane, who will become relevant later. The teachers observe the match, and Sejin, lost in thought, reflects that players with highly destructive fire attributes have a significant advantage in botra. Among the human houses, the flames of Zinger are the most powerful. Despite knowing Celia is in his class, he accepted the challenge, though he feels it will be incredibly difficult for him to win. Herod yawns, prompting Sejin to tell him to try speaking like a normal person. Herod asks if Sejin remembers his first student, the kid from the house of Zinger. Sejin replies that he certainly does, referring to her as the Empress of Botra. He's talking about Reyna. Herod informs him that the child of that very Empress is now in his class, surprising Sejin. Back with the other students, they're already resigning themselves to defeat, questioning how they even got into Lumen Academy. They can't believe things are ending so easily, but they're suddenly taken aback by a burst of fire. Celia observes that it seems Leo has finally made up his mind, as he unleashes his Phoenix Breath aura. She warns everyone to be cautious of his next move. Leo pulls back his fist and hurls the ball directly toward the goal. As it hurtles forward, Chloe manages to create a large ice wall to block it, claiming that as long as she's here, scoring will be impossible. Leo corrects her, stating that she means possible, as he's already positioned right behind her. He leaps into the air, the ball still ablaze against the ice wall, and punches it, shattering the wall and sending the ball straight into the goal. Sejin comments on Leo's impressive battle IQ, while Herod looks smug. The crowd erupts in cheers for Leo, and Sejin realizes this is where the real game will begin. Celia takes her turn, aiming for a goal, but Carr blocks it with an earth wall. Chelsea retaliates, sending her own ball into play. Later, we see Tide get hit in the stomach by Duran's ball, and another unnamed student from Class 1 gets struck by Leo. Chloe prepares for another attack, but we don't see it. Instead, Duran charges up the ball, preparing to aim for the goal. He throws it directly toward Carr, who sees it zigzagging toward him. Carr extends his hand, allowing himself to be electrocuted to stop the goal, landing on his feet and laughing, noting that his mana is already dwindling and he'll leave the rest to Leo. Both Chelsea and Aliana pull him out of the field, and the score is now 10-10, with Leo facing off against Duran, Celia, and Chloe. Leo picks up the ball, and the students realize they're at a disadvantage, facing a 1 versus 3 situation. Chloe states that while she may have lost in the magic theory exam, she won't lose this time, as she creates multiple clones of herself. Leo crouches down, and both Celia and Duran declare they're ready. A wind attribute surrounds Leo's feet, making him vanish before their eyes. They're shocked, exclaiming they can't believe he's so fast. His magic also leaves behind clones, and he dashes past Celia, who realizes he isn't even attempting to attack, he's solely focused on scoring. Chloe wonders where the real Leo is, dismissing the clones as shallow illusions. Suddenly, she's taken aback as she witnesses the true nature of his magic. The world looks different through a magician's eyes, and she's so astonished that she just sits there as Leo races past her. Feeling like a frog in a well, she wonders how he's using the magic of the stars, which is typically reserved for elves. Leo scores the goal, making Class 5 the winners of the botra match, and the crowd begins chanting his name. Students start crying and hugging each other, expressing their fear of going home and the dread of being expelled. Sejin asks what they're talking about, while Herod remarks that it was merely his way of motivating them. In contrast, Duran, Celia, and Chloe all appear incredibly dejected. Sejin sighs and walks over to Chloe, asking if she's upset about her loss. He tells her that after a match, regardless of the outcome, it's important to salute her opponent. As he helps her to her feet, he reminds her that everyone worked hard together for a Class 1 victory and that all the supporters are proud of their efforts, so they should stand tall and feel proud. The students are taken aback by Sejin's unexpected kindness, while Herod mocks him, calling him a loser and urging him to wrap things up. Sejin, feeling aggressive towards Herod, begins a speech acknowledging the efforts of both classes. He praises Class 1 for showcasing their skills and commends Class 5 for their perseverance, as they pushed through challenges to understand their limits and succeed. He encourages everyone to shake hands, and they do just that. Celia tells Chelsea that she lasted longer than she expected, thinking she'd be out sooner. Chelsea agrees, saying she thought Celia was incredibly tough. Meanwhile, Carr laughs and calls Duran Prince, who only glares back without replying. Carr wonders if he may have overstepped. Chloe, holding back tears, hears Leo commend her for an awesome match, adding that with more experience, she'll become incredible. She questions if he's joking, but his sincere smile reassures her. She vows to beat him someday and shakes his hand. A month later, Carr asks Chelsea and Leo which club they plan to join. Leo announces he wants to start his own club, causing Carr to spit out his food in surprise as Chelsea scolds him for his manners. Chelsea decides she wants to join Leo's club, which he names the Hero Research Society. When they ask about its purpose, Leo explains he wants to learn more about the legendary hero Kyle. They laugh, noting that Kyle is fictional. Carr doubts anyone will join Leo's club, but Chelsea expresses her willingness to join him. Suddenly, some students rush to the window, announcing that the fifth-year students have returned from clearing a hero dungeon. They explain that fragments of hero records are scattered worldwide, and from time to time, monks generate dungeons known as hero dungeons. The seniors from Lumen are tasked with clearing these dungeons to retrieve the fragments, often being away for at least 2 weeks, sometimes longer. Reflects that his mother likely faced similar challenges. Chelsea is in awe as they see the impressive figures of the returning seniors. Carr clears his throat and identifies them. The muscular Easterner at the front is Senior Lim Mua, the southern woman beside him is Senior Trua Yen, and the pale figure in the hoodie is Senior Ulta. However, he notices someone else is missing. Just then, a hand rests on Leo's shoulder, and Carr mentions the man standing at the top of Lumen. The student council president, Reese, is missing, and when they turn around, they notice Leo has vanished. They see Celia leading him away, and he questions what's happening, commenting that it's all quite sudden. She informs him they need to go to Lamaria City because the student council president wants to meet him. Leo asks why he's looking for him, and Celia sighs, noting that he seems uninterested in school matters, but he'll find out once they arrive. They eventually reach a restaurant, and Celia expresses confusion about why he chose such a place. Leo, however, is excited about the good smell. Her face brightens as she rushes over to hug her older brother, who introduces himself as Riedinger from the Night Division, the current student council president. As they eat, Reese asks if everyone is enjoying the food. Leo confirms they are, but notices Celia is acting strangely. She admits it's her first time trying this type of cuisine, hesitantly takes a bite, and exclaims how delicious it is. Leo mentions he wanted to bring her here once she arrived at Lumen and expresses disbelief that Reese is his aunt's son. Reese asks if he's met Reina before, and Leo recalls seeing her a few times during his childhood, noting her popularity in school. Leo inquires about her legendary exploits, and Reese recounts a famous incident where Reina rallied students to confront the principal about terrible dormitory desserts. Celia is amazed to learn that their aunt was the protagonist of that story. They continue chatting and finish their meals, with Leo remarking that Reese truly deserves the title of strongest in Lumen, hinting that he's on track to become a hero. Reese then offers to get dessert, and Celia eagerly agrees. He tells them to wait outside while he steps away to grab his wallet. As he does, he notices a fragment resonating in his pocket, puzzling over its significance. The scene shifts to a silent classroom where Ilana approaches Professor Herod for help. He mockingly invites her to ask her pathetic questions. Ilana wonders why a class representative hasn't been chosen, noting that other classes have already decided. Tide confirms he has heard this too, and Herod admits he forgot, suggesting Leo take on the role. Leo remains unresponsive, leading Ilana to question if that's truly all it takes. Tide proposes a democratic vote for the selection, but Herod dismisses it, dumping a stack of papers on his desk for the representative to sort. Ilana realizes what's happening and resigns herself to the task. An announcement comes over the intercom, stating that a joint class for hero studies will soon begin, instructing all first-year students to head to the auditorium. Leo notes they should get ready, prompting Herod to commend him as class representative. Everyone heads outside, where Carr spots Chloe looking exhausted. She asks if he has any fatigue recovery potions for sale. He hands her the ones he has, and Leo comments that the year has just started and she seems to be overexerting herself. She drinks the potions quickly and wipes her mouth, insisting that she's fine as she walks away. Carr remarks that she's in the magic theory class for a reason, while Chelsea notes that Chloe must feel anxious. If Leo picks up on the latest magic trends, he might outpace her in the magic theory exam. Carr wonders what's wrong with being second, and Chelsea calls him foolish, emphasizing that while she's a battle mage and doesn't mind falling behind in theory, magic investigation and research are crucial to the Sorcerer's Tower, and her pride is at stake. She questions if Carr is even a real sorcerer. Carr responds that he uses magic to survive, claiming that substance magic is his pride. As they bicker in the background, Chloe hears them but decides to walk away. The scene shifts to Callan's office, where he's tending to a plant when something causes him to freeze. It turns out the damaged hero's page has reacted. We then see Reese place the hero's page in front of Callan, who asks if it's true that it reacted. Reese confirms it, noting that the page is so damaged it shouldn't have responded, yet it did, and there was no relic nearby at the time. Callan decides to investigate further but tells Reese to rest since he just returned. He then calls for Elena, his assistant, asking her to take the page to the auditorium for the first year's joint class. Callan explains that sometimes even small fragments react, particularly if the person who recorded it in the hero records comes into contact with it. This may be a page from Kyle's book. The scene transitions to the auditorium, where a woman is trying to quiet the crowd. We meet Professor Archian Near, who grows increasingly frustrated as the noise continues. She releases a menacing aura, warning that if they don't quiet down, they'll regret it. When one student shakes his head in fear, she threatens to come down and deal with him. Once the room finally quiets, she shifts back to a calm demeanor, thanking everyone while waving her hands. Some students express their fear, commenting on how intimidating she is. Leo observes that she's a spiritualist, noting they were rare even in his previous life. Archian announces that they will begin the joint hero studies class, explaining that the appearance of hero records is linked to the emergence of hero clans. To open a hero's world, an object closely related to that hero is required. It's easier for a hero's descendant to access this world, which is why Lumine Academy, which preserves hero records, has a strong connection to these families. Although she dismisses it as political nonsense, she refers to it as a relationship between a key and a treasure chest. Leo appears intrigued, while Carr, clearly disinterested, is asleep, hinting that he might be a returner. Elena then enters alongside Artin and continues by asking if everyone understands the significance of hero studies. She explains that these studies help uncover clues for clearing a hero's world or learning more about them. As they approach their senior year, they'll select a hero to inherit strength from and aim to clear that hero's pages. Elena holds up the earlier page, prompting Artin to reach for it, noting that it's a hero fragment returned by the fifth-year students of Lumen. The students express their excitement as she briefly opens it, teasing them before closing it again. She instructs everyone to share their aspirations as heroes. Celia states her desire to become a knight who surpasses her family's legacy, to which Artin responds positively. Chloe mentions she wants to write a spellbook featuring only her original spells. Car expresses his wish to support heroes, and Artin commends his goal. When it's Leo's turn, he declares his ambition to completely annihilate Erebus. This surprises both Artin and Car, along with the professors. Artin praises the ambition, asking what his next goal is, leading to laughter as others suggest he's dreaming too big for a freshman. Sejin asks Herod for his thoughts, and Herod remarks on the chilling nature of Leo's statement, noting that Erebus has been sealed for millennia and has caused disasters upon resurrection. Despite that, Leo still dreams of eradicating it. Artin explains that they will read the hero records page retrieved from the dungeon. After each class, they'll guess which hero's page it is and learn how to clear a hero's world. She warns that all professors will be observing, so they shouldn't misbehave. The students' hearts race with excitement, and Nella eagerly mentions it's her first time interacting with a hero record. Then, Arain calls for the class representatives to step forward. Celia, Leo, Abad, and Shia all approach. She informs them that 2 hero records were recovered, but only one will be used for the lesson. While showing them the smaller piece, she invites Leo to choose one. Upon picking it up, it emits a golden aura, and texts begin to float around the room, surprising Leo. It announces that the hero record is now open and shines even brighter. As a giant magic circle forms beneath Leo and Artin, Sejin is taken aback by the sudden shift, and the students gaze in awe at the ominous sight of a complete battlefield, reminiscent of the scene they witnessed when facing Erebus. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more content. Feel free to leave a comment down below sharing your thoughts or suggestions. If you want to stay updated on our latest uploads, click the notification bell icon. And hey, why not check out some of our other videos popping up on the screen right now? If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by liking, sharing, and subscribing. It really means a lot. Peace.